Rajkumar Srivastava of Embassy of India to Japan, Deputy Chief of Mission, and Mr. Senarpati Gopal Krishnan of Axel Ventures, and Mr. J. Krishnan of Mantra Capital, and Ms. Katie Tsuchiya of Seeker Space Japan, CEO. Without your collaboration, we cannot realize this event today. Thank you very much. First, I'd like to a little bit explain about a special edition and main program KGAP Plus. Let me start with basic data of COVID-19 in Japan. Total confirmed cases as of June 29th is a bit more than 18,000. And total recovered is more than 16,000. And total death is a bit less than 10,000, 1,000. So the number of cases are not so large, maybe if you compare with those in India, but still there are a large number. And we can avoid the increase of number by avoiding the 3 C's. That means closed spaces and crowded places and close contact in setting. Together with declaration of state of emergency on April 16th, and it was left in 1 month. But what we are now concerning is there are a little bit increase of the number, especially in Tokyo. In Tokyo has more than 100 cases, new cases, today and yesterday. So we are starting a little bit nervous about that. Life in and after COVID-19 era, we call a new normal. People say keywords like such as personal, contact-free, and decentralized and digital transformation happen in human life and business. And to overcome these challenges, we need innovation. That innovation will be realized not from technology driven, but by social issue inspired, and try to create societies for human. And we hope innovation will be created by the cooperation of Indian startups and Japanese companies, not in laboratories, but in human life, real human life places. So KGAP Plus of Special Edition try to discuss and find a way to achieve this type of innovations in COVID era. And to do so, first of all, we need to meet with supporters and partners and investors and customers. So we'll give a kind of platform to share and exactly collectively recognize the current situation of Japan and of India and the COVID-19 pandemic. As Max mentioned, we started a series of events, web events, called KGAP Plus Special Editions. And we started the first event with Israel 3 weeks ago on June 11th. And today we have the second event with India, and that will be followed by New York City Entrepreneurs Roundtable Accelerator, and Israel Part 2, Israel Innovation Authority, and Canada, and National Research Council Canada, and Hong Kong Science and Technology Park. And we are also planning a similar event with Barcelona Activa. And at the end of July, exactly the July 29th, we will have a kind of a demo day called KGAP Day, in which 10 selected startups will be qualified for the KGAP Plus Batch 3, together with 6 startups in Japan. So this is the tentative schedule of KGAP Plus Batch 3. Will be started July 27th with a KGAP Plus Day, and we'll finish on October 28th with a demo day at the occasion of Kyoto Smart City Expo 2020. We are now discussing how to realize the Kyoto Smart City Expo, either online and offline, maybe online. And the selected startups will be taken to Barcelona at the occasion of Smart City Expo World Congress held in Barcelona. We normally take them offline to Barcelona, but we are also discussing how to take selected startups to Barcelona or how to attend this event. The KGAP Batch 3 was cooperated by organizations such as JETRO and Mojo, Seekers Base, Bank of Kyoto, and Kyogin Risk Capital. KGAP Plus was actually realized by our global collaboration and cooperation networks that was constructed for the last 3 years. We have core partners such as Barcelona in Spain, Israel, New York City, in the US, and Canada. And India is becoming a fifth of our core partners. As I mentioned, Mackie, we signed MOU with CII in January this year to work with in the areas of technology innovation and industry R&D. Actually, we had the first event Monday this week when I was acted as one of the panelists for the session on design innovations in COVID times, a global perspective, held in 29th of June 2020 in India Industrial Design Conclave. So what exactly this is the second collaborative event with CII India. So we have actually give startups from India and Japan 4 types of global open innovation platform that was constructed during the project of Keihano Research Complex. But because the time is limited, I today focusing on KGAP Plus. That is a startup support program. It's an acceleration program for startups. That will be held the combination of online and offline normally, based on our wide global collaboration network. This is outline of KGAP Plus normal main program. KGAP Plus is an abbreviation of Keihana Global Acceleration Program Plus. We set a POC or pilot testing with Japanese companies or hospitals as a goal. And as I mentioned, the program will be carried out with a combination and online and offline program, but this time maybe only online programs. And you are accessible to our global partners. And we had batch 1 and batch 2 last fiscal year, starting in July and finishing in October for the first batch. And the second batch started in October and finished in December. And the selected startups were taken either Barcelona or New York City to expand your business into Spain or United States market. So this is the list of companies of KGAP Plus batch 1. 5 startups coming outside Japan from 4 countries, our global partners, and the other 5 startups coming from Japan. Totally 10 startups participated in the batch 1 of KGAP Plus 2019. We had this demo day 3 months later at the occasion of Kyoto Smart City Expo 2019, held in October 3rd and 4th. And we selected 4 startups that were taken to Barcelona for Smart City Expo World Congress. And as I mentioned, we set the goal as a POC with Japanese companies or hospitals. We had succeeded in setting up POCs for 8 startups out of 10 startups. That was a good number, I believe. there are 4 examples of POC. One example is Together, is Israel startups made a POC with KGAP Toshi Hospital. This is a core hospital located in Science City. And that they are specializing in music therapy for patients with dementia, and that was very successful. So there are other 3 examples you can see in the figures. In Barcelona, we had our own booth. It's located in the left-hand side. It's a purple one, and exhibited and also made 3 pitches at our own and booth of Barcelona Activa, our partner in Barcelona. And Barcelona Activa is very active or preparing totally 22 B2B meetings for startups, for 4 startups, and the 4 startups are very satisfied with 22 meetings. For the second batch, totally 11 companies participated in the batch 2, and 8 coming outside Japan, and 3 coming inside Japan. And we had a demo day 3 months later in Osaka at the occasion of Innovation Stream Kansai 2019, held on December 17th and 18th. And we selected 5 startups out of 11 startups, and they are taken to New York City in March. As far as the POC is concerned, 7 startups have started or planned POC with Japanese companies, and other 2 startups have established their business model, and even they started a new companies based on our acceleration program. And you can see the 4 examples of POCs. For instance, Canadian SME Proxylogica made a POC with 2 companies for vertical farming. We take 5 startups selected to New York City with collaboration with ELA, one of the leading accelerator in New York City. And they had a pitching training, a mentoring, a group and solo, and also workshops and the demo day. Unfortunately, in New York, pandemic of COVID-19 just started. So the number of investors or angels gathering our event is smaller number than expected, but it has been successful, I believe. So what we try to achieve is kind of a 2-dimensional collaboration network based as a Keihana Research Complex as a hub. So for instance, Indian startups can have access to our global startups, global partners, such as, for instance, Barcelona, and they can have a chance to find the partners in Barcelona or New York City or Canada or Israel, or maybe invested by some of the investors in these countries. So we will have a very big event that's really also very relevant to startups, to India, and also Japanese companies. And this is a very good chance for cooperating together to show the state-of-the-art products and services in real life at the occasion of Expo 2025. That was held in Osaka and Kansai, including Keihana Science City. And the Keihana Science City is expected to play a major role to provide a new technology in real life POC of pilot testing in this event. Okay, by concluding by thanking our co-host, for instance, Confederation of Indian Industry, CII, and the Seeker Space Japan Corporation, and also our collaborators, in this case, Embassy of India to Japan. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Suzuki. Yes. Okay. Next, we are very pleased to have greeting remarks from the Embassy of India. Mr. Raj Kumar Srivastava, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Right. So thank you very much for organizing this particular session of live pitching by Indian startups and also the Japanese companies. This is a very, very important step in increasing the stakeholders in India-Japan relationship, which is very strong, as you know. This particular initiative of pitching of Indian startups began in April 2018, when the first live session was organized on 20th of April in Toranamon building, where around about 20 startups came from India and physically did a pitching. And if you recall, Grey Orange was one of the startup that time, which has then got a very substantial investment from Mitsubishi. So that was the kind of initiation of this exercise of increasing the connect between Indian startups and Japanese investor community, recognizing the complementarity that we have between India and Japan, especially in the digital arena. And when I say complementarity, it has multifold kind of dimensions. For example, the demographic complementarity, the skill set that Indian demographic skill set provides is what Japan needs in terms of the demographic problems that Japan has. When you look at the core competence of Japan in manufacturing and ICT of India, the two together is the future, what you call the Internet of Things or Society 5.0 focused initiative of Japan. So keeping those things in mind, we had launched in 2018 in October when Prime Minister Modi visited on a bilateral summit to Tokyo. The two prime ministers launched India-Japan Digital Partnership. Now that digital partnership was not new in the sense that nothing new was done on that day, but a narrative was built to make it understood in Japan, the nature and the scope and the potential of this partnership. Out of 125 Indian companies which are present in Japan, 75 are connected to IT sector. So that is our core strength. And it was through that digital partnership, we had established a kind of a narrative which highlights our corporate partnership, which highlights the connection between startup ecosystem, the R&D cooperation, the cooperation in the area of human resources, and most importantly, the cyber security and cyber infrastructure. So companies like Hitachi and NEC are contributing heavily in the cyber infrastructure in India. And this is what the digital partnership is strengthened. This is how this is strengthened. Now, I think Mr. Gopalakrishnan will speak about how after the COVID-19 situation, this partnership has become even more underlined. I think I would highlight few points in that context. For example, healthcare, food security, environmental consciousness, areas such as, for example, digital cooperation, including blockchain and new technology areas. These were already having a lot of momentum between India and Japan. But COVID-19 has highlighted that these are the areas which will remain important in the recovery process of economic recovery post-COVID-19. Because these were least affected, and these were the one where the solutions lies for the pandemic like COVID-19. So I think it is important that we continue our connection through the digital means during this downtime so that we can keep on harnessing the opportunities that this sector offers. And in this context, this particular event that ATR and Kehana Science City is organizing, we are very happy to be part of it and ready to support in whatever way. One last point before I finish, I must highlight that COVID-19 has also strengthened the strategic nature of India-Japan relations. And that's also a very important foundation going forward to develop and build upon, especially in the area of technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Okay, next we will have a presentation from India. Mr. Chris, it's difficult to pronounce, sorry about that. Mr. Chris Gopalakrishnan. Yes, thank you. We will have a presentation from you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to address you all. Let me start by complimenting Kahana Science City, ATR, the two governments for focusing on, I believe, one of the most important relationships in the 21st century. That's the relationship between Japan and India. Rajkumar already talked about how this is strategic, how this is synergistic, how we build on the strengths of both the countries. And I want to reinforce this in particular focus on innovation, entrepreneurship, startup, and the opportunity that Japanese companies have in working with Indian startups. Because the focus is, what you are doing today is providing a platform for Indian startups to pitch and then work with Japanese multinational corporations, work with the Japanese industry. And I believe that this is a very, very important initiative. To set the context in which this entrepreneurship and the startup activity is happening in India, let me look at the Indian economy. Now, this review of Indian economy does not change during this COVID times because yes, it may have delayed the growth of the Indian economy a little bit. Maybe we have to postpone our achievement of targets by maybe a year or so because of this. But I firmly believe that India will continue to be one of the fastest growing economies in the world. India's 1.3 billion people creates a very large market, a consuming market, and its GDP of 2.7 trillion is again makes India one of the largest economies in the world. Now, before the pandemic, India was also the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. And I strongly believe that this itself is not going to change too much. Again, there may be some challenges. I did a review of 50 startups which which in some way I'm connected with. And I can tell you that, and this 50 startups constitute about $7 billion in market cap, $1 billion in revenue, and they have actually $1 billion in cash also. So they are actually in a good position to survive this pandemic and go forward. And this covers multiple sectors. Just to add, from my perspective, the visibility into startup is created through the Axelor company that we have started. It's a VC fund as well as an incubator. Personally, I've invested in more than 60 startups and about 10 other funds. So I have a good visibility into what is happening in the startup space. I've also invested with Japanese VCs, co-invested with Japanese VCs. 30 plus Japanese VCs are already investing in India, and I'm familiar with that. So let me come back to the context setting. Per capita income is in around $2,000. In the last 25 years, the per capita income has gone from $600 to $2,000. And in the next, let's say 10, 15 years, India is expected to become a $5 trillion economy, and maybe in the next 20 years or 25 years, a $10 trillion economy. And at 10 trillion, India will clearly be a middle income country. So that's the context in which the startups are operating. Now, let me give you further data points. Anytime there is disruption of technology, disruption by technology, that provides opportunity for new companies to emerge. So if you look back in the introduction of digital computing, you have initially the hardware companies coming in like IBM, Data General, Digital Equipment Corporation, HP, etc. When the software became the driver for innovation, you have Microsoft and companies like that. When internet came, you have Google. Amazon is a user of that technology. They disrupted retail. In the automotive space, Tesla came in again, and I would consider Tesla as a software-driven automobile, leveraging electric as energy source. So, you know, every time there's a disruption, there's an opportunity, new leadership emerges, and that drives further creation of ecosystem, etc. And I strongly believe that with the fourth industrial revolution, the technologies that drive the fourth industrial revolution, the focus must again go to startups, because many of these technologies are going to be leveraged to disrupt the existing business models by startups first. And that's the reason why startups are very, very important. The next point I want to make is that where will the startups find the best place to innovate? India has depth in talent. You know, because of the IT industry, there are 4.5 million Indian professionals who have worked with world-class companies around the world, who actually understand this technology very well, who have worked in introducing these technologies in multinational corporations. So they understand multinational corporations, they understand the role of technology, and they're quite familiar with what technology can achieve and do. So that's the talent base from which many of the startups are emerging, many of the employees of the startups are emerging. Second, India is yet to develop. I mentioned this. You know, India per capita income is $2,000 and it's going to $5,000. So every industry in India is ready for disruption. So what should the model for automotive industry be in the future when India goes from ownership of, you know, today the car ownership is about 4%, right? 10% of Indians can afford, but in a developed economy, maybe 100% of people own cars. So there's a huge opportunity to look at automotive industry. But what is the model in which we should develop in a sustainable manner such that we don't pollute ourselves to death? So there's an opportunity to look at electric vehicles. That's a linear extrapolation of a innovation in the automotive industry. But there is also a disruptive innovation possible here to look at new business models. Healthcare, you know, COVID has clearly created a need for looking at telemedicine. Now, if you want to provide affordable healthcare to 1.3 billion people, it has to be digital. It has to be bringing the service to remote areas, bringing the expertise to remote areas through a digital platform. And that's what is happening today in telemedicine in India, in diagnostics in India. And this need for creation of new business models is what is driving innovation, what is driving the entrepreneurs to come up with new solutions, new products, new services, etc. in India. And this let's say hotbed of innovation, I believe will be quite attractive to the Japanese companies, quite attractive to Japanese investors. One, they get access to the Indian market and the innovation that's relevant to the Indian market. Second, they can actually introduce these innovations in other parts of the world where the conditions are very similar. You know, I strongly feel that the 20th century model of innovation was to address the needs of the top 10% of the world's population. Whereas the 21st century model of innovation is to address the 7 billion people in the world. which means that we need to address the needs of the 6 billion people below the top 10%. And that's what Indian startups are doing when they come up with affordable innovations in various areas. Just to give one simple example of a company that I have investment in, I believe there are investors from Japan who have invested in this company. This is Neramai. You may have all read about it, heard about it. They have come up with a breast cancer screening solution using thermal imaging. One-tenth the cost of traditional X-ray tomography. It allows you to do the diagnostics when the subject is behind a screen, so there is no need to look at touch or look at being in front of another person, etc. And this innovation is something that can be taken to rural areas because it's very portable. It's not a very heavy equipment. So these are the types of innovations I believe that India will create, Indian entrepreneurs will create, and that I believe is a great opportunity for working together with Japanese corporations, working together with Japanese investors. I need to emphasize that because I strongly believe that the VC community in Japan is hugely invested in India, and we want to strengthen that relationship. So I conclude by saying that this is a relationship which is win-win. It's a win for Indian startups. They get access to the global market. They get to work with some of the best companies in the world. It's a win for Japanese corporations because they get to look at these innovations on a priority basis. They get access to the large Indian market through these innovations and these startups. And I believe that the whole world wins because these are the innovations that are addressing the 7 billion people in the world rather than the top 10% of the world. So I'm glad that I got this opportunity to share my thoughts in this platform. I wish all the startups the very best. I think this is a great opportunity for you. This is a great opportunity to show or showcase your startup, your company on a platform that brings together the best in the world. If you look at where all this platform is moving, Israel, New York, it's like participating in a global competition. So I'm very glad that I could share my thoughts, and my compliments again to the organizers, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. All the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gurapashiran-san. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. We will go to the next presentation. Yeah. From Mr. J. Krishnan-san. Yes. He's a Mantra Capital partner. Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much, folks. Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are. Namaste, ohayou gozaimasu, konnichiwa. I promise not to bore you with the death by presentation, but that being said, what I've done is put together a small deck that identifies key areas that the two countries can collaborate on with a specific set of use cases focused on health and wellness towards the end of the presentation. And I believe that that's where KGAP in India can look at. So without further ado, let me try and get my presentation up. And please feel free to shoot questions out to me in case you have any. Here we go. So the idea was to look at the two countries and start with the with the focal area of how the pandemic has changed things. And I do 100% agree with Chris's discussion on two aspects. You know, the pandemic has really forced us to rethink our strategy as humanity. And secondly, every challenge is typically taken up by entrepreneurs as an opportunity to do something new. And I think as a society, that's exactly what we can look at. What I've done is identified how the pandemic has affected communities at large very differently. So the folks in Japan, just to bring you up to speed, the pandemic has not just forced the situation in India to be fundamentally different than what it was in February, but we're also hit by a mass amount of strange situations that, at least in the 40 years that I've been here, we've not experienced. So we're going through climate change, we're going through a cyclone that we just went past. There's been the biggest locust invasion in the north of India. There's geopolitics being played out. There's a rise of nationalism. There's a rise of neoliberalism, mass migration of migrant workforce, leaving supply chains asymmetrically affected. There's transient panic in the public. There's this concept of poverty tax, which is another way of saying, while the tier 1 cities in India have realigned and recalibrated by ordering groceries online, the poor unfortunately don't even have, they pay a price by getting on their smartphone, let alone being able to order things online. And that concept at a high level is called the tax that is being paid indirectly on account of being poor. There's also an insane amount of information asymmetry depending on where you live, which community you're a part of. As you know by now, India is an extremely diverse country. And all this has affected the country dramatically, over and top of being able to live in situations that are lockdown enforced. As you know, India is a country where people love to thrive, to be together. We are a very, very social community as a nation, and being forced to live in lockdown doesn't necessarily help, but it is the need of the hour. Now, the reason I wanted to point all this out is, A, to give you a sense of what actually is going on the streets in India, and B, how this can transform itself if you're an entrepreneur or an innovator, to build a new product or to pivot yourself. And one of our portfolio companies, Sarva, he'll give you a sense of how this has forced himself to rethink his operations. And that's the sense I wanted to give to you. Now, at the same time, I also wanted to look at what's going on in Japan. And on account of not being there in person, I don't know what's going on the streets. But in terms of data that's available, interestingly, for an extremely technologically advanced country, turns out that post-March is when really the uptake in terms of digital commerce has picked up, which I thought was interesting. There's a reduced amount of self-medication, and there's an increased amount of self-maintenance, primarily driven by folks who are looking to stay ahead of the curve from a wellness vis-a-vis healthcare perspective. There's been a diversification of channels, primarily on the distribution side, and that I believe is driven by new forms of e-commerce, which in turn is driven by a partial lockdown that was enforced in April. Now, what does this mean? I look back at data, and I don't want to bore you with data, but I do want to come to one conclusion, which I came to a month ago. If you look at macroeconomic data presented by different people and different schools of thought, depending on who you look at, and I've just taken a smattering of two, the data is fundamentally different. The GDP growth projected over the next 2 years, just from these two sample data points, indicates such a diversity of information. And what that led me to conclude is something that entrepreneurs go through. In clinical psychology terms, it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. In fact, it states that there is a cognitive bias where people with low ability overestimate their capacity to do things. Um, and in entrepreneurship, you see this all the time. And the reason I put this up is I think it's time that, and again, this is purely my personal opinion, it's time that we understand that the situation we find ourselves in the pandemic, led by leading economists, led by leading politicians, led by leading scientists, which includes epidemiologists, virologists, and lastly, policymakers and people like me, really we know nothing. Our sense of confidence is extremely high as we read more, but it's only through years of wisdom and experience that we tend to build back our confidence because we now have data. But from March to now, we really know nothing about this pandemic. So the best we can do is to plan for the future. And I realize that that's what I'll keep my presentations crystallized to. So specific to India, Japan, I figured we'll focus on three areas, which I'll get to in a second. I won't bore you to death with the details here, but Chris very eloquently painted the picture of how India is well on its track, regardless of the pandemic, in terms of how startups, by localizing and by contextualizing their presence in India, is really changing the game in and for India. And a lot of that can be translated globally. And I believe that the best opportunity lies with the India-Japan corridor. And I'll touch upon it towards the end of my presentation. The India-Japan corridor is already reasonably well established, quite like the data that Chris pointed out. Investments in Indian startups directly by venture capitalists or through limited partnership arrangements or through corporate arrangements is on its uptick, as you can see from the data from 2017 to 18. And if anything, the first quarter of 2020 will probably only be a blip in the situation, and it's bound to catch back up. I figured I'll focus on three things in the Indo-Japan corridor. One, what we can do to stabilize the uncertainty, which is short term. Number two, what can we do to recalibrate the supply chains that have been disrupted, which in turn has affected both consumers as well as enterprise, which is midterm. And for the long term, what can we do to future-proof the situation? I think it's fair to state that the pandemic has forced all of us to rethink, not just in terms of enterprise value and how we can shore up our reserves, but it has also certainly allowed us to think mentally and personally what is valuable in life. You know, things like healthcare, things like wellness, things like mental stability, things like family and familial values. At least in my case, that's the last 3 months of lockdown has truly forced me to think how fragile we are as a race and what we need to do to look at the short, mid, and long term. And some of these thoughts are on the basis of these three data points. So from the first perspective, from the short term, I think what we can look at, and I've tried to focus mostly on health and wellness, because fundamentally that is lost, everything else is lost. Again, I'm not going to bore you with the data points here. Through ATR, I'll make this presentation available to all, and you can go through it in detail. But fundamentally, between the two countries, we can look at health and wellness as a whole. How do we digitize supply chains? How do we look at the value chain as a whole, from the provision of healthcare at the left end and the consumer who consumes healthcare at the far right, and the roles that everybody can play in the middle? How do you increase touch points digitally and reduce touch points physically? How do you create business continuity right from the area of supply of healthcare all the way to the consumption of healthcare, which in this case is patients? And what are the areas in the middle? And that's really what I've tried to identify. And platforms like KGAP and the Indo-Japan corridor can focus, at least up until December 2020, to identify these gaps and focus on how do we stabilize the uncertainty that exists in the current market today. In the midterm, which I've looked at for the next 1 year, the goal would be to recalibrate supply chain. Now, as you probably know, the global politics that's being played out, and specifically in the Indian context, the isolation of China and its role in India has taken a big, has created a big void, and therein lies the opportunity. I think the country has done a phenomenal job. India has done a great job of identifying what we need to do to future-proof ourselves. And the banning of some of these apps, if you take out the notion of the concept of freedom of speech, I personally am in favor of what was done, given data privacy laws and the violation, therefore, given what these apps were, or at least some of them were doing to the mental health of the youth, and looking at all those gaps that have been left behind, there lies a tremendous opportunity for capital to chase projects in India, supply chain get filled up, pilot projects in India that can essentially act as a global platform to go global for Japanese companies, a restocking of inventory, play an offline, online playbook. And just to touch upon that, while India goes digital, most Indian startups that have been successful have demonstrated that the offline-online playbook is really the way to go fully online. Number two, tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities in India have shown the biggest growth in terms of digital adoption. And number three, a lot of that digital adoption has not come from the internet as we know it through laptops and PCs, but it has truly come from the embracing of internet through mobile commerce and consumption of data through mobile devices. And in all these areas, I think Japan and India can play a great role in stabilizing the supply chain and the gaps that have been left behind because of various voids. The last point which I wanted to elaborate here is that by far, India and its fragmented ecosystem has spawned a new era of fintech. India, by far, from the value chains and geographies that I've looked at, is miles ahead in terms of its fintech capability. You can plug that in anywhere in the value chain, and you'll notice that there are A, disruptions that startups and innovators are creating, and B, it has truly solved a lot of gaps in the Indian ecosystem. And lastly, it's one of the few countries where the government, the industry, meaning corporates, and startups have come together and created value. The India Stack is one such example, which it just doesn't exist anywhere else. If you ask me, the India Stack should be the prime candidate for moonshot. And people really outside India don't really talk about the India Stack, but I truly believe it's a moonshot project which has achieved success to a very large degree. And if you do a catchment analysis of gaps that lie in India, India's fintech with capital from Japan can truly play a role in reestablishing how supply chains in India can take off. Lastly, how do you future-proof yourself and enable these pilot projects in India that can truly take off and become global? There lies plenty of opportunities. I've tried to identify a few here. But I want to summarize my presentation by lastly focusing on key areas that we can look at. Japan, for its part, can look at India as a player where there are tons of projects that capital can chase. There's a great opportunity to do a rural-urban mix in India, and demand, depending on which area you look at, are ideally in double digits in terms of demand. There's tons of supply-side innovation that comes from Japan, ATR being one of them. Over the last 3 decades, some of the innovation that's come out of ATR has been truly remarkable, specifically in life sciences and brain brain innovations. And India truly has a massive market that these innovations can find home in. On the India side, there's tremendous amounts of market side innovation driven ideally by frugality, and number two, driven by demand in the market. Lastly, if you're looking at research and development, I cannot think of a better opportunity where research can be decoupled and done in Japan. Development on the prototype side before it goes to global markets can be done in India. So new products, development in India, prototype in India, take it back to Japan for testing, massive amounts of laboratory type testing in India that can be done with a fair amount of forgiveness before it goes global to the Western audience is probably the way I would put it together. And for a KGAP India accelerator, that's how I would structure it. And lastly, the picture in the background truly identifies what India does. The picture on the left is not to demean anyone, but to put it in quotes, is an innovation of a latte machine that takes pictures of whatever you want and creates a picture on the foam. And that's truly a Western side innovation. In India, innovation comes driven from the market, from frugality. This is a lady in Gurgaon whose business was disrupted. And in case you're wondering, the business was selling tea on the roadside, was disrupted because a cafe coffee day came up on the street next to her. She did a market analysis and she figured out that the reason why people were going to the coffee day, of course, barring the hygiene factor, was really because people were enamored by the idea of froth or foam, which she didn't offer. So what did she do? She came up with this brilliant idea of taking a broken pressure cooker, sticking a screwdriver in the pressure valve, and on the safety valve, using a little hose to create froth in the same teacup in the same coffee, that she was using. And lo and behold, she now had the froth that she didn't have. This gives you a sense of supply side innovation on the left side from the Western Hemisphere and demand side innovation that comes on the right side in countries like India. And I want to leave you on this parting thought that if you look at the 4 bullet points I've identified, AI in healthcare, India can play a great role in terms of data availability, data cleansing, data annotation, analysis of images for Japanese innovation that's looking to find a market. The best way to think of this is extrapolation of India's IT services now in the area of AI meets healthcare. The second is virtual reality or mixed reality in healthcare and wellness, which is otherwise hard to reach because of areas like surgical improvements, and you don't want to test it out on real patients. But India offers a tremendous amount of opportunity because of the vast population. MedTech device development in the robotics area, as well as in the MedTech devices area. And lastly, wellness. If you look at areas like yoga, as well as the West has packaged it and marketed it, this is the country of its birth. And I cannot think of a better area for wellness, mindfulness, thoughtfulness. And I know that's an area that's common to both India and Japan. And this is an area that we can certainly jointly work and collaborate on before we take it to global markets. So I want to leave you on that note. And thank you for the opportunity. And I'll be happy to answer questions. I know we're out of time, but I'll make the presentation available to you later. And thank you so much and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Now we will have reverse pitching from Japanese companies. Yeah. Okay, today we will have 4 companies, and the first one is Amegumi. Yes.
Okay, may I start?
Yes.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Now, can you see our slide?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is Kotaro Fukuoka from Amegumi, India. We are OS developer and the smartphone seller, and the Indian entity incorporation has done on this April So it's great honor to do presentation here. Thank you for holding such a great event today. Actually, I used to live in India, Gurgaon, for around 2 years, and hope I can back soon by getting visa and flight, since I really like to be in there. At first, I want to show you one slide. This is a vulnerability map in the world. As you can see, there are a lot of countries has the issue, including India, and we started a business to be one who can solve this issue. So our mission is to make the world where everyone lives their life with happiness at least. And to make this vision true, our mission is to make a situation where no one has to give up because of external environment, such as COVID-19. No one is left behind in this digital world by giving tools to access information. So how to achieve? We develop original OS for smartphone as business, quality of life tool. Please see this number. Smartphone penetration rate is 26% in India, according to McKinsey report. Actually, this is as of 2018. So around 70% of the people don't have that. So why? There are two big reasons we think. First, lack of money. And second, lack of smartphone literacy. In other words, they don't think they can use smartphone as productive tool, but they think they regard as entertainment tool. So that is not a necessity for them. But why existing smartphones are not enough? I'll explain OS and device separately. First about OS, iOS from Apple and Android from Google are two major OS. Apple is expensive because they design hardware as well. And Google has security risk because their app restriction is soft and the OS update is not done properly sometimes. And about the device, for manufacturers, device replacement is the key to get profit, as the box shows in the middle of the box. So they don't make low-end models since it's not profitable for them. So people must replace 1 or 1.5 year, and it does not cheap. So then we can offer this phone named Sunblaze OS as a solution. Features are below: $40 cost and 3-year less malfunction and limited functions. And I'll explain one by one. So about our role is software developer. Our app restriction and OS update are done strictly for security, similar to iOS, Apple. On the other hand, hardware design is done by OEM, so we can make affordable phone like Google. So that means that we can develop affordable but high security smartphone. But how we can do well in this market? I'll show 2 slides, including this. As OS developer, no player are there in low-end model and original OS area. So original OS means long-lasting, and low-end means affordable. So this is one. And the second is about the device. As device supplier, no players are there in low-end and long-lasting area as well. But you must know that there is Reliance Jio and they have Kai OS, original OS, so they may come as main competitor. However, our distribution channel is as this slide. Our main user would be the people who never used the smartphone, like farmers in India. But as I explained, they don't buy because of the literacy and money. So we'll sell to these 1 to 4. About the benefits for them to buy from 1 to 3, FBOs, government, and NGOs, which manage farmers or the people. They are easy to manage, educate, get data by giving devices. Obviously, it's easy to do communication with them. And of course, app developers, it's easy to get users with device, and after that, they can expand their business. And all of 1 to 4 don't need entertainment function, obviously. So our last feature, limited function, is fit to them, we think. We only allow business-related apps with high security, such as agritech, fintech, e-learning, and so on. So we are looking for app developer, IoT developer, and everyone whose target is in BOP, bottom pyramid. And this is our team. Actually, I just joined this year on itself. Okay, thank you. We are looking forward to collaborating with you in good reasons, and please feel free to contact or send Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fukuoka-san. Yeah, for Indian companies, if you have any question or comment to the Japanese companies to collaborate them, please feel free to put your comment or question to the Q&A section or chatting box. Okay, next is Toa. Okay, Miyata-san, are you ready?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Can you see the slide? Good morning and good afternoon. I am Satoshi Miyata of TOA Corporation. I will introduce our company and our technical needs. We are a very old company, 86 years old. Our headquarters is in Kobe. And I am an engineer, but I'm in charge of technical market research. Then I will introduce our company. This is our first product. This is microphone. And we have developed the standalone sound equipment, for example, trumpet speaker, megaphone, and the turning point is 1969. We have developed the emergency broadcast system. We started to make emergency systems of information by announcement. For 50 years, our business has been based on the emergency systems. So now we provide the information announce broadcast BGM in the facilities in all over the world. We have mostly developed in-house such a niche field, but now I'd like to draw the figure of the new communication by collaborating with other countries, companies. So now our business is to fill the sound to the public space, all of the public space. But in the future, I think that we should deliver the necessary sound only to those who need it. So we need the technologies where the is the person and the condition of the person or nationality of the person and so on. So as a professional manufacturer of communication, we need these new technologies. And I know the Indian companies is very strong to develop the data analysis and AI, some software technologies. So I'm very expected to connect with the companies with these technologies, AI, data analysis, and blockchain. So thank you for your taking time, and I'm very welcome to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Next to Japanese company is Anatech Yanako. Yes. Please go ahead.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible. I'm Yati Rajesh from Anatech Yanako Corporation. Today, I'll be sharing a little bit of details about our company, what we do.
Sorry. Are you sharing the screen?
Yeah, I will do it in a minute. Please give me a second. I hope it is visible. Is my presentation visible? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm from India. My name is Yati Rajesh Kanamarlapudi. Now I'm working as an engineer in Anatech Yanako Corporation. We are based in Kyoto. However, now I've been moved to international sales and business development, and our prime focus is India right now. So I wanted to take this opportunity to provide our company's details and what you and shed a little bit light on what we want to have from India and what are the technologies that we are looking into. So, Anatech Yanako Corporation, it's formed in August 1985. We are based in Kyoto. Our design, development, manufacturing, and sales of analytical instruments are being done in our head office in Kyoto. We basically manufacture online water and air quality monitoring systems for industrial effluents, both for field, for government, private, and R&D sectors as well. So although our company has been established in 1985, Yanako has a century-long history, because Yanako actually is originated from Yanagimoto Shoten or Yanagimoto Seisakusho from 1892. So we have a 100-year-long history in the field of analytical instruments. So we operate under Yanako Group. Yanako Group is an umbrella corporation, and we are one of the players in the Yanako Group, and we call ourselves as Anatech Yanako. We have few offices. We have a sales office in China and Korea, and we have one more office in Jordan, and now we are planning on starting an office in India as well. But however, before going into that, I would like to give what we do, a brief introduction about what we do. We manufacture online water and air quality monitoring systems. As I said 2 minutes back, our core strength would be the product customization, accuracy, stability, and technological know-how. The technological know-how has been developed from past 100 years, and it is being carried out generation after generation, and it has reached to our engineers. That is how they have been, by hypothesis and verification tests, they have been able to create one of the best products for online water and air quality monitoring systems. So, and when it comes to our analyzers, I'll give you a brief description of how our analyzers look like and what they do. So they monitor the basic parameters, COD, TOC, and other total phosphorus, nitrogen, and other parameters that are present in the water for the industrial effluents. And at the same time, they also monitor for river water. They're also used for river water monitoring and lake water monitoring. The biggest problem is with the accuracy and repeatability results that are being that being a challenge in this area. And we have been one of the best companies in Kyoto and in Japan to provide low maintainability and robust products that can cater to the needs of water and air all over the world. So few of our, we can actually measure around over 50 parameters in both air and aqua, and few of our products include COD, TOC, total cyanide, phenol, ammonia, and other hydrogen silica analyzers as well. So in the same way, even in air, we have other products that are being used in research laboratories in Kyoto and other companies across the world. So a few of the notable overseas projects that we have done is for the Jordan government using JICA, and it's between JICA, it's between Japan government and the Jordan government. They wanted to monitor the Jordan River to know the pollutants and the level of pollutants, and they want and this project was done 25 years back, and thanks to the technology, still the analyzers are being working. So you can understand how robust the systems are. This project was executed in 2000, around 2002 to 2003, but now it's 2020. So from past 17 years, analyzers are functioning well and fine, and with very low maintainability. So that is one of the strong points. Given said that, we have done a few other projects in Korea, China, and in the same way, we have done few projects in Japan as well for Lake Biwa, Nagara River, Yodogawa River, and lots of other rivers. So few of our corporate customers would be Panasonic, Fujifilm, Kyocera, and other companies in Japan, and we have few other overseas customers, universities, and governments that are using our products right now. So to summarize it, we have already put around 1,000 operational analyzers around the world, with around 10,000 analyzers just in Japan itself, which are running now. So what I want to take this opportunity to give a brief introduction about the technology, about the things that we are looking for India, for Indian market. We are actually planning, we are actually looking for a technology partner in India for product localization. The biggest problem with Indian market is our market is very cost effective, and given the coronavirus pandemic, there is a huge shift in the funds that are being mobilized by the government and by other private institutions as well. So we have sales office in China, sales office in Korea. We are doing good business there. But however, when it comes to India, the ideology and the way we do business is a little bit different. So given that we want to localize our products in India, and that given the size and the volume of India, we need a company that can help us in localizing the products, because we already have the know-how. We want a manufacturing unit that can manufacturing companies and manufacturing units who can joint venture with us, and also an IT company that can provide the data for the few projects that we are planning on doing in India. So that is the reason we wanted a technology partner in India who can cater to these kind of needs, and we can hopefully start the business after the coronavirus pandemic in India. And not last but not the least, what I would like to say is that the way people started thinking in India after the coronavirus, especially the government sector, has been completely changed. A few months back, we had few projects that we are about to do, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, the funding structures and the spending structures have changed, even in the Bangalore government and few other governments of South India. That has led us to think in a perspective wherein we can provide our data as a service, rather than providing it as the whole analyzer for the Indian companies. So here is the place wherein most of the Indian companies would come in, who can give us the software, essential software that can help us to provide our data as a service, rather than selling the analyzers directly to the government. So we are looking for these kind of companies. I hope I'm clear, and thanks a lot for providing this opportunity for us to portray our needs in front of everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. The last presentation from Japanese company is Creators Next.
Thank you for the time. I will do my pitch. Hello, everybody. My name is Nozomu Kubota, founder and CEO of KGAP. Now, I want to talk about our business plan. We help marketers accelerate their business using AI. Our product name is KGAP. Now, what is the pain for the marketer? When marketers want to contribute to the business through the web by maximizing conversion rate. But we need specialized skill and large amount of data are needed for using AI or maximizing conversion rate. What is a KGAP? We KGAP do aggregate the data and comprehend the data, give actionable insight, and generate a report all in 1 minute. We making sense of the data. There are a lot of visualization services, but we can make what is the pain in the website and how do we optimize the website. And we generate historical comparison in only 1 minute, just like a previous month or same month of the last year. And we extract conclusion from the data so marketers make the right decision in short time. User benefit, we reduce the time for 98% and we increase in average number of page views for 295%. And we increase the revenue for 2.16 times in average. And the traction, we already have 8,500 customers right now, and customers net increase per month is 100. And we got these kind of customers by organically 92%. So we have an ecosystem to growth. Our products are used in 15 countries, and our revenue model is free trial. And after that, $18K US dollar per year for enterprise users. Our CAC CAC is 1K, so we have unit economics. Our team, I was graduated from Keio University and got #1 web analyst, and we are pending international patent. And the CTO, he is a specialist in the AI field, and he was graduated from Tokyo Tech University. And COO, he was from Johoku Shinkin, and 8 years in the financial industry. And CFO, Mishima, he is from Karn Bank. He was director in a Karn Bank and Russia Bank, and HS Shoken. And I completed MIT Massachusetts Management Sloan School in artificial intelligence implications of business strategy. And we already got a patent right now in a customer psychological analysis based on web analysis. And we are making a new patent right now that can optimize AI and quantum deep learning. In AI field, we must do processing automation, and after that, we must select the model, and after that, we must tuning the hyperparameter. But in our technology, we can do automatically in any position of AI. So AI can update it by our services. I was selected out of 37,000 people to be the best web analyst in Japan for the 2nd year in a row. TikTok select our product too in the marketing field. So now we can improve the TikTok SEO and the TikTok conversion rate right now. One more thing. I ate apple in this morning. In the next 3 years, I will aid up GAFA instead. Thank you. We are looking for partners who want to jointly develop the KGAP business in India. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kubota-san. Okay, now it's a time for the Indian startup pitching. Okay, we will have 9 startups today, and the first one is Holosuite. But we will have greetings from Seekers-based Japan. Tsuchiya-san, please go ahead.
Okay, hi. We Seekers-based Japan has been working on India-Japan cross-border innovation partnership for past 3 years. And we have received tremendous support from many intellectuals, especially from India counterparts. And from their valuable input, which we also received so many input from many great speakers today. We have been identifying unique values and the substantial business opportunities we can build together through this bilateral relationship in the way no one can do. We have recently signed on the second MOU, this time with tri-party partnership with ATL and Mantle Capital to J. Krishna to further our effort. Today, I am given this great privilege to announce our special recommendation on 3 India startups, each led by visionary entrepreneurs, and Holosuite, Big Things, and Saba. These are our 3 special recommendations among all great entrepreneurs. Their technology and their platform are especially notable because of following 3 factors. They can contribute human contact heavy industry such as sports, manufacturing, fashion retail, and essential health industry where infection rates are extremely high. And a company like Saba can build the next generation of mindfulness with Japanese technology. So we all do not go crazy and become in tune with our well-being in this challenging time. Second, they already have technology being deployed, looking for more deployment partnership and customer base around the globe. And we hope more Japanese company to partner with them. And they have, sorry, they all have celebrity investors and major media endorsing already. So their credibility is very, very high. And looking for their growth capital. There's 3 factors common between 3 companies. And I encourage all of you to really get to know them. And this is a great opportunity for Japanese investor or corporation to get to know and really imagine how we can collaborate with them in Japan and elsewhere. With these startups who are on track of becoming the next global innovation leaders in past pandemic era. If you're interested, we are also would like to, we will be happy to facilitate value building process with both parties. So do not hesitate to contact us or ATL as well as contacting them directly. So if this is it is an era we have to think beyond the body and time and space and even a brain, I think. So without any further ado, I will pass this spot over to the first of 3 companies, Holosuite. Take it away. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kyle Kathan. Thank you for everyone for attending this. So I am Harsha, CEO of Holosuite. So we are focused on simplifying virtual skilling of humans and robots. So what we have built is a bidirectional, wireless, affordable, easy to use full body motion capture suit. And it was founded by me and my wife a long time back. And we are helping in full immersion sensor and feedback packed wearable technology, which can actually allow users to point, touch, and feel 3D objects. Just like iPhone allows you to touch and feel things in 2D screen, we allow people to take that experience to 3D. So this is like actually I had the opportunity of shaking hands with our Honorable Prime Minister of India, Modi ji, in the Defense Expo. As you know, defense is very, very critical for our nation, and the Indian Army actually selected hollow suit. So I'm wearing the hollow suit and I'm controlling this robot. And virtually, I'm actually shaking hands with the Honorable Prime Minister of India in the Defense Expo 2020. And the advantage of these technologies, why did we develop this technology, right? So let us look at that. So I originally worked at Microsoft Robotics, built various robots for Bill Gates. So I have 44 patents in these areas. My robots have been used by Shah Rukh Khan, by Google CEO Sundar Pichai, by President Obama in the White House, by Stanford professor. And this is our team. Like we have Yuvraj Singh, like India's like a most famous cricketer who won us the World Cup as man of the series. He's an investor. Gary Kirsten, who was the coach when we won the World Cup, he's also an investor. We have the Stanford professor who is on our board, who founded their virtual reality laboratories. We have Technicolor. We have US Olympics gold medalist coach. We have Rana Daggubati, very famous entertainer who built $1 billion like media properties. And like that, we have a very, very fantastic team. And what is the problem that we are trying to solve? So visual spatial skilling of humans and robots is a very hard problem. I mean, because in traditional, like if you're just training the mind, you can have some text, you can have something. But if you're training the mind and body together, it is an extremely difficult problem, because human body comes in various shapes and forms, and even robots come in various shapes and forms. And these service robots, which right now are trying to get deployed, especially in the COVID situation, if you see, many robots are available, but they don't have the skills. Just like humans don't have the skills, the robots don't have the skills to be a nurse. It's a robot which can move around, but how do we teach it to become a nurse? It's a huge step up, and we completely eliminate that risk when you're trying to deploy a nurse. And similarly for patients who need to get rehabilitated, who may have some physical disabilities. So this is another area where we need to kind of skill humans and robots in a way which is scalable, repeatable, and remotizable. And right now, all three are not possible with the current state of technologies, because it requires humans to be together, or humans and robots to be programmed rather than to be thought. So we built this HoloSuit technology, like all the details are available on the website, but essentially it is a portable holodeck. So what we have built is we have taken this holodeck and made it so that you can have one in your home. And what are the use cases? So there are multiple use cases, one in the healthcare industry, the other in the gaming industry. Sorry, one second. Excuse me. Yeah, so there are multiple use cases. One is in the healthcare industry, the other is entertainment and gaming space, and then sports, education, as well as industrial training. And if you look at India especially, the challenge is that we have a huge population, which is a demographic dividend, and if we don't skill them, then it will become actually a demographic like a demon, right? Because we have so many people and they will be unemployed. So Indian government is focusing a lot on skilling humans. And so how is HoloSuit used for skilling humans? So we have already worked on multiple World Bank funded projects and many other UNESCO and other projects, where the idea is like wearing the HoloSuit now, the human can actually learn any skill. So here you see this is a person who is wearing the HoloSuit, and as he moves around, he can actually go, and whatever the action that he's performing, for example, he's going inside a tractor, and now like he's actually able to drive the tractor. So whatever action he's doing in the virtual world, he can actually see the tractor, and he can even go and manipulate, and we even have finger tracking, so that specific skills are completely taught. And agriculture is trillion, like we want to make it a $5 trillion economy, right? So agriculture is an important thing. Similarly, this is in sports.
Also use HoloSuite Body Analytics as a tool through the course. You can have access to a motion capture suite. With this, you can play in your living room or at your local academy and send me the files. My team of experts will be able to analyze your game and give you personalized feedback. The suite will also be able to simulate a stadium setting from wherever you play.
Do you want to have a
Similarly, in education,
and learn how to build and program advanced robots like Iron Man? Introducing HoloWorld, a magical scoop of the future, filled with holobots and holomen who use holographic power to save the world from danger. Do you?
similarly in helping like people who are in the like who are trying to save our like electricity poles. So these are people where like 2000 persons were killed every year because they were not skilled properly. And I'm very happy to say that after they have deployed this solution, more than 50% mortality rate has come down because of the skilling, and a lot of the cost has come down because we were doing a lot of errors in maintaining the electricity board. So now with our solutions, they are able to significantly reduce the cost as well as save lives because of proper training. Similarly, now we come to Japan. So Japan is like a land of robots, right? So that's how I kind of describe it. But what we bring to Japan is like there are robots everywhere, like in Japan. But how do we actually skill these robots, right? So if you see here, what we have accomplished is this is a Japanese robot by SoftBank. So as you can see, using the HoloSuite, we are actually able to skill even the robots. So whatever the human is doing, the robot is able to kind of mimic. And it is not just mimicking, it is actually learning it. So once it learns all these actions, we can actually skill them. Just like we skill the humans, we can actually skill these robots so that they can become actual nurses, they can become like doctors, they can become like sanitization workers. So any operation that you want to have, the robots can do. And the best part is, if for some reason if they are not able to do the job, they can always call back the human, and human can always take over and teach them the new skill. Just like when we are trying to train the humans, what happens if somebody doesn't know, they will call you back and ask you for clarification, right? So these robots are going to be in that way. Similarly, like we can actually have these robots be trained to kind of do various activities in the industry. So here we see like it's not just like very hi-fi robots, even simple industrial robots we can actually train. Here we are training it to play chess. So we work with not just humanoid type of robots, but any robot. So you can see this particular robot is not in the same shape as a human, but still we are able to train it. So similarly, it can be, it is already being deployed to help doctors train patients on rehabilitation. So especially with the elderly population in Japan, I think getting proper rehabilitation care is very important. And you can see here, this is a patient who is actually being trained using robots and because robots help like keep the engagement level up. And we don't just like get this transference of motion, we actually have a lot of technology which understands and analyzes it. So for example, like this is like this, and this best part is this whole thing is available in a form which can be easily put. So the jacket comes off with an underlying harness, so anybody who wants to use it and sanitize it, all that is actually taken into account. And once like the patient and therapists are kind of together, we can get all the metrics in an AI form, analyze it, compare it side by side, and be able to take like very intelligent decisions on why a patient, for example, had a particular problem. So similarly, we can actually use this robots like HoloSuit to control drones and have it like survey different areas. So there are multiple applications which we can kind of use it for. In fact, I'm very proud to say that we have been selected by ANA Airlines, Japanese Airlines, for the $10 million challenge to build a humanoid robot like this and completely control it. So we are kind of working on, so if you can imagine a HoloSuit controlling this robot and teaching all the skills. The best part is if you look at it, the entire environment is actually made in such a way that it is built for humans to operate. So if we actually build a humanoid type of robot and teach the robot whatever skills necessary, then like we can solve pretty much every problem that we have, because those robots will be able to kind of learn and implement the skills that we need. So it is also very useful in terms of military surveillance and all in this increasing like the current. So this was actually in Defense Expo, as you can see. So we can actually build many scenarios. We are working very closely with the Indian Defense on these things. So if you look at the survey of robots, it's a very big and growing field. And we already have a lot of, this is a Japanese karate master. Now we have virtualized karate training, we have cricket training, golf training. We also have partnership with Media and Entertainment Skill Council to teach like media and entertainment skills, because this HoloSuit can also replace green screens in the entertainment industry. So similarly, we have partnered with Bosch, NVIDIA, Worldwide Wiseman Entertainment. There are a lot of partnership, and our business model is very simple. We actually take the risk out of customer acquisition. How do we take the risk out of customer acquisition? We basically partner with people who already have a lot of customers, and we provide them technologies, and these technologies enable them to scale their skilling ability, and we take a revenue share from whatever is the productivity that we bring in, whatever the scalability we bring in. This platform will power the skilling of billions. So our aim is to skill a billion, and we are looking for an investment from Japanese VCs. Thank you very much, and you can contact me at info@holosuit.com. Thank you. Any questions?
No, if audience have a question, please put your question to the chat box, please. Okay, please finish your screen share. Okay. We will go to the next startup, but we will change the order. The next is a server. So big C, please wait. And the server, please, yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I think good afternoon in many places and good morning from India. Thank you for this opportunity and thank you, everybody, and all the best to everybody who's presenting. You're doing some great stuff. All the best for that. I'll just quickly take you through what we are doing. My name is Sarvesh. I typically stick to time. My time. I know the time is about 5 minutes. So I'll just take you through my presentation and I'll give you a quick background about me. My name is Sarvesh. I started yoga at the age of 6. I was a cricketer before that. At the age of 21, I started Sarva. At 23, I formalized the company, and it's about 4 years since then, since we formalized the company. We're basically a digital wellness ecosystem built on the authentic foundation of yoga. Yoga is the foundation of whatever we do. The company is divided into 2 parts. One is the brick and mortar space and the other is the digital space. Of course, the brick and mortar space currently is non-operational because of COVID. We have about 38 outlets in the brick and mortar space. In the digital space, which is very exciting for us, we were supposed to launch it on 21st June 2020, but fortunately, we had the opportunity to launch it much earlier on March 21st. So from March 21st is when 2020 is actually when we launched. The digital piece is divided into 3 segments. As you see, it's body, mind, and nourish. And this is how it looks. Body is asanas, which is the physical aspect of what we do. Mind is guided meditation, sleep, a lullaby, soundscapes, etc. It's about what we think. So body in Sanskrit is called asan, mind in Sanskrit is called dhyan, which is what we think, and nourish, which is what we consume, which is the niyam, which is what we are supposed to be eating, and our skincare as well. All of these things will be on demand and live content. We've got both on demand and live content, and it's divided into body, mind, and nourish. And now this is how our brick and mortar studios look. The Diva Yoga, as you see, is a premium yoga studio for women, and the Sarva is a mix of both men and women. It's slightly mass premium. Diva Yoga, the ARPU is roughly about $60 per person per month, and Sarva, the ARPU is about $24 per person per month. And we were doing a revenue of roughly an annualized revenue of close to about $4 million in Sarva and Diva together. This is just to give you a basic brief about the context in parallel. Calm and Headspace are the world leaders in mental health space. Sarva's vision is connecting 7 billion breaths. What we see because of COVID is people are getting much more aware of mental health than just physical health. They are looking at health as a holistic solution, and there is no better place than yoga when it comes from India, because we have a very key word from India, which is authenticity. So Calm does an annual revenue run rate. They're on an annualized revenue run rate of about $100 million. Headspace is about $75 million. The user base is pretty much similar, which is 50 million plus for both. Just to give you a brief and context parallel with Sarva, the unique following of Sarva's investors only, I'm not even talking about people who come to Sarva, just the unique following is 198 million. Why have I put this in parallel? Is because customer acquisition cost in a digital business is supremely high. For Calm and Headspace, they're tracking at about $2. We are tracking at 3 rupees, Indian rupees. I don't know how much cents that is in dollars. So that's the advantage that we kind of have with regards to the number of investor following that we kind of bring in. So just a quick projection is, the projection is in the next 15 months, we will become profitable. April is when we started our revenue. And from April to June, we've grown about 1,059% in revenue. User base is growing at about 350% month on month. We are already sitting at a little over 300,000 users. Fortunately, the company is fairly well positioned in an Indian market and a US market to kind of go all out because of our list of global investors. So this is a quick number of people who've actually invested in the company. Yes, the first name that you see is true. Jennifer Lopez has actually written out a check to us and the others as well. So the amount of people who've invested in us and the credibility, both from an institutional standpoint and from a fund, from an individual standpoint, is truly, truly amazing. I'm very glad that Mantra Capital Jai is an investor, and we have Fireside Ventures. We're actually closing a round right now, which is 2x oversubscribed already. And we are seeing great traction in the business because I don't believe that there is a more important time for mental health and physical health than ever before. And fortunate, we have these global people who've invested in us, and we believe we're very uniquely placed for 3 reasons. 1, because we are from India. 2, because we are holistic, which is we have body, mind, and nourish. Yoga is the base, because yoga is alternative care for me. I am a practitioner for the last 22 years. I've done a bunch of things that probably somebody of my age wouldn't do, and my family wouldn't do. My family runs 17 different companies. We do an annual revenue of $200 million. But I came outside to wanting to start this because yoga changed my life. Because I was a very arrogant child, and yoga had changed my life, and that's why we are there. And we have a very unique kind of core value system. That's what we do in the company. That's what we are very proud of. And any kind of go-to-market support, any kind of help in terms of going into Japan would be very useful. But for us, fortunately, right now we're focused and we have a very clear plan in terms of what we're wanting to achieve. And capital is not our ask. because we're fortunate there. We've got, like I said, we are 2x oversubscribed. So capital is definitely not our ask, but any form of support guidance from a product market fit into a Japan, we'd love to have a conversation. You can get in touch with Kayoko because she's kind of looking after the Sarva bit from an India-Japan perspective. So you can get in touch with us through Kayoko, and we'd be very happy to kind of get into any form of conversation. So that's largely it about what Sarva does. We're fortunate that we're from India and we want to connect 7 billion breaths because that's our aim. And I know connecting 7 billion breaths cannot be done alone. We need to do it with a group of people, and as many people as we can get in this journey of wanting to make a difference in people's lives. We'd be very, very happy to participate and collaborate. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Next is a big thing.
Thank you. I'm sharing my screen now.
Yes. It's coming. Go ahead, please.
Fantastic. Firstly, thank you for having me. It's been lovely listening to all of your pitches, and it's certainly opened up my mind. Big Things is an AI company. I'm one of the founders. My co-founder, Chandulika, is unfortunately had to take another call. But we are both architects by education, turned MBAs, turned technologists. So for Big Things, this is my 4th startup. And in Chandulika's case, she's done one before this. Big Things focuses on the retail and fashion industry. Now, the retail and fashion industry is one of the hardest hit by the COVID-19 crisis. In this, people have migrated to online shopping. Shopping overall has reduced. And there are numerous other problems in the industry which we are catering to. Now, one of the big ones is for e-commerce, people don't know what size to pick or how products are going to look on them. So as a result, they end up buying multiple products and returning a lot of them. Now, this is a massive problem globally. In the luxury and made-to-measure space, which are traditionally industries that have operated on an in-store model, this has been very, very badly hit because people are not going into stores. They can't touch products. Even if they did, those products would need to be sanitized. And just generally speaking, for higher value items, digital mediums have not been a popular choice because of visualization and fit issues. And the big reason for digital not realizing its full potential is because of tools such as size charts and recommendation engines. Size charts give you your measurements and you're supposed to compare, oftentimes wrong. Recommendation engines ask you to put in your height and your weight, maybe your age, and guess at what your measurements would be. And most of the time, these are also quite inaccurate. Now, this is a problem not just for consumers who know full well before buying that they are going to be returning products, but for retailers. Now, think about just this one number. US retailers alone lost $309 billion because of returns last year. And from a climate perspective, 84% of these end up landfilled or incinerated. Now, how are we trying to combat these problems? Our suite of products starts with 3D body scanning for smartphones. So with just your mobile phone, you can set it up or have someone take a picture of you or just click yourself. You take 2 pictures of your body, one from the front and one from the side. You instantly get 44 different precise body measurements in less than 1 second. You can use these for custom-made clothing and made to measure. You can use these for designer wear, but most importantly, you can use them to find out your size in any brand, anywhere in the world, and also your fit in that brand or the different products. So you know when you're buying online exactly what size and fit you're buying, so it's right for your body when it gets to your doorstep. The premium product goes a step further and uses a selfie of your face in addition to the body scan to create a virtual avatar. This avatar looks and measures exactly like you. It has all your body measurements plus your face from the selfie. A big part of what this product does is automated AI digital clothing. So from any 2D picture, such as those shown on e-commerce or catalogs, it identifies what kind of clothing is in that picture. extracts the details of that clothing, replicates it automatically in 3D. So you can see this clothing on your own avatar. You know how it looks, you know how it's going to fit, and you can even change sizes to try and find the right size and perfect fit for your preferences. Recently, we got into digital runway shows and photo shoots, again, because of the COVID-19 crisis, when some of our clients came to us and asked if we could help them out because they could not hold fashion shows. And that is a very integral part of the entire fashion industry's pipelines. And we actually put on the world's first completely virtual fashion show to feature real models as avatars and real clothing from 10 designers around the world at the New York Fashion Week almost 1 month ago. And we are in the process of launching several more fashion shows as we speak. We operate in various segments within the fashion industry, luxury fashion and e-commerce being the primary ones, but also rentals, on-demand, uniforms and workwear, and virtual shows. The business model from our side is completely B2B. It's all a software as a service based model, and we have tens of big name customers from Europe, US, and various other places around the world who are currently using our technologies. The market size for this on just the body scanning is about $28 billion, of which we look at an addressable market of 1.4 billion. And a total market size on digital avatars, which is much larger at 143 billion, out of which we are looking at targeting an addressable of 2.8, almost 3 billion. From a benchmarking standpoint, we are one of the only, if not the only, completely complete studio in terms of software-based solutions for avatar scanning and so on. We've got partnerships with the Helsinki Fashion Week, Swedish Fashion Council, Fashion Innovation New York, and the Brooklyn Fashion Week. And we've won a fair number of awards and recognitions from the government of Sweden, from Slush, which is Europe's largest startup event, from Startup Bootcamp and the Prada Group in Milan. The Oscars of the AI world, which is the awards.ai for the best use of AI in fashion, and others, including Amazon in China, Monaco, and so on. As I introduced, we are the two founders, Chandalika and I, and we have a team of very, very strong advisors and almost 18 mentors from different brands around the world. What our ask is, we are capital is one that we are looking for from a Japan collaboration, but more so, we are looking for partnerships and collaborators for access into the Japanese markets and understanding how we can deploy our technologies into the Japan fashion market. Thank you for listening, and I'm happy to take any questions over chat.
Thank you very much. Yeah, okay. We will go to the next, the fourth company, the Proficient Vision Solutions. Are you ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Yeah, okay, please go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
Time to present the scheme. On behalf of Proficient Vision Solutions Private Limited, I would present this speech. I'm one of the founder. The patents were developed by IIT Kharagpur, and I was one of the patent authors. Our focus was the road accidents in India. We see that road accidents are increasing day by day. After every 4 years, the accidents caused by rain and fog, they actually become double. And in 2017, the amount of lives we lost because of rain and fog, it was more than what we lost in COVID so far in India. And certainly the numbers are much bigger than what we lose by terrorism and other harmful acts. And if you look at in United States, there also the number of vehicle crashes are very high. However, because of better safety standards, the number of loss of life is much less than India, but it's not negligible. So we want to improve that situation, and let us see how we can do that. We have the product, the Clear Vision, that which works in real time and clear the rain and the fog. So we can get the clarity instantaneously. That's our USP. Now, the first thing that comes in the mind that when we talk about taking it real life while driving, that first the viewer that needs some time to get that some object is there, so that and then apply the brake. Now that the period, it is a reaction time. At the time the car is free moving, and then the brake is applied and we have a stopping distance. Now, if the object is actually further than the stopping distance, we can avoid the accident. Now, in case of the Clear Vision, when it is applied, it will require actually little more time for the processing. Now, what would be the impact of that for that? Because at that period also it would be freely moving. But the fact is that now we would be able to see the object much earlier. So what we see here, that if we can have 50% or 100% increase in visibility, then for the fast response time on the dry road, we get actually that better safe driving speed. That means we can drive at higher speed. If the reaction time increases, it remains the same. If it is on the wet road, it remains the same. So we can increase the speed in all the conditions, means we can reach faster and be more safe. Now, the highlights are that these patents were filed in 2010 and 11 in India. They are under examination. The patents are granted in US, Europe, and South Korea. And we have received that IGP award in 2016 and 17. And in 2018, the Abdul Kalam Technology Innovation National Fellowship, that gave us the impetus to actually form this startup and go ahead. And last year, the Proficient Vision Solution Private Limited, it received the Startupreneur Award from CII. And our focus is that reduce loss of life and property due to road accidents, and safer transport in rural and the hilly area where the challenges are more and they need to depend more on the visuals, and reduce infiltration and insurgency across the border because of the geopolitics at times, that we need to be very careful about the border of the country, and there it can help. And we are looking for the opportunity of Indo-Japanese collaboration in post COVID-19 situation, that we can actually looking for that. And that Kharagpur is a semi-urban area. We can form actually an employment there, generate the employment, and we can increase the safety in smoky and the dusty and hazardous environment also, because there also the obscurity is similar. And then we look for that the foreign exchange and self-reliance is our goal. Here we show our actually the map, and we have done the testing in the winter, and now the demonstration time for the rain is going on, which is little impacted by that the COVID. But we are trying to get keep it on, so we are on it. And here we show something that what we have captured in the last December, that due to fog, that the things are not visible, the road signs and trees and all in the left hand side, that which are further apart, and we can see that in much better way in the right hand side. And you can reach me in our number and our company email, and you can see this video. The link is given here, and we'd like to show you some that the video, if the time permits, and in the meantime you can ask any question you have.
Time is up. Are you finishing?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the questions. If there is any questions, otherwise, if the time is out, then stop.
Thank you very much presentation. Please finish your screen sharing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is ethereal machines.
Yes, I'll be here.
Yeah, thank you for waiting. Please go ahead.
Sure, just 1 second. Hi, so my name is Kaushik. I'm the co-founder of Ethereal Machines. We are a startup that's redefining the world of manufacturing. We work towards bringing about the best of both the types of manufacturing, which is subtractive manufacturing and additive manufacturing, which we will come to in the next slides. I've tried to put in the exact translation in Japanese. Please forgive me if it's not the right translation. So our clients are basically entrepreneurs themselves. They buy our machines and then they start businesses with our machines, and then they earn their bread and butter because of that. What kind of machines? Let's come to that. We've been working in the space for over the last 5 years. We're backed by some of India's biggest investors and a great angel network of investors as well. So what are the two kinds of manufacturing, right? To the right, you'll see an example of subtractive manufacturing or CNC machining. To the left, you will see the 3D printing process or additive manufacturing as it's known. So what happens in subtractive manufacturing is you put in a chunk of wood, metal, etc., and it will etch, cut, carve till you get your final object. Whereas in additive manufacturing, you're melting plastic and you're depositing it layer upon layer upon layer. The issue with both of these processes are CNC machines or subtractive manufacturing as it's known is the machines are extremely enormous and bulky. They're very costly. If you want to achieve a particular physical characteristic or a property, such as say a particular right amount of weight or a melting temperature and other physical characteristics, it's impossible to combine the powers of two properties just by subtractive manufacturing. With additive manufacturing, even though there's been some hype around 3D printing, the problem is it operates only on 3 axes. The outputs are very fragile because you're depositing plastic one layer on top of the other. Any other axis you apply some force or strength, the part breaks. It's an extremely time-consuming process as well. So what did we do? We came up with a machine that combined the powers of both subtractive manufacturing and additive manufacturing and added 2 extra axes or degrees of freedom of movement onto the machines. I'll explain with a video in the next slide what I mean by 5 axis. We won the CES. We were the first Indian company to ever win a CES Best of Innovation Award for this kind of technology. And basically because we shrunk an industrial scale technology to the desktop scale, making it more affordable and accessible to users across the globe. So to the left, you will see a regular machine, any contemporary machine, which is moving on 3 axes, X, Y, Z. To the right is my machine, X, Y, Z. And this is our 4th axis, A, where it tilts, and C, where it rotates. So that makes it, the A and C are the extra 2 axes, making it a 5-axis machine. So see, if you were to create a part like this, right, a cylinder with 2 fins, in a regular machine, you have to add these support materials. Otherwise, those fins are going to fall off because of gravity. Whereas what happens in my machine is once the cylinder is built, the table tilts, giving you access to a region where earlier you had no access to. And thus you're eliminating the entire support structure mechanism that was required previously by contemporary machines. So if you were to look at it from a time perspective or a material perspective or a cost perspective, you're at least saving 1/3 on all 3 counts. And of course, the finish also becomes much better when in comparison to the regular traditional manufacturing methods. What's the next solution that we came up with, right? Desktop size. This is the average size of a machine today when you're looking at subtractive manufacturing. We were able to optimize the design, and of course, we have our patents for this. We were able to optimize the design and come up with a structure wherein you only have to use a space of say 1 meter by 1 meter to have that kind of a manufacturing capability going forward. The last solution that we came up with was, a combination of additive and subtractive. So here, when you're seeing a dome that is being cut out, which is subtractive, and then we're printing on top of it. So we're using a black filament right now, or a black material, and then now we change it to a golden material. So not only are we combining the powers of two different kinds of manufacturing and bringing bringing a harmony between them, but we are also using multiple materials. So the possibilities that this opens up, this is a lot for the industry, right? So this is an overview of our product, wherein we have a hybrid manufacturing machine, we have just a subtractive manufacturing machine, and we have just a additive manufacturing machine as well. To keep it short, I'll just quickly run you through, the kind of customer segments that we've been catering to. We have clients from the aerospace industry, the automobile industry, medical, jewelry, basically anything that requires manufacturing, either be it on the prototyping side, be it on the small batch production size, be it on the large batch production size, or in mass manufacturing. At every step of these, you will require processes which I am talking about right now. And that's exactly why our customer segment is so varied, and it's spread across the world. We have multiple distributors in India, and we've just started discussing distributor options with people in Europe and one particular institution in Japan as well.
Time is
What
up.
are the applications in the future? Just is we're looking at generative design, where tomorrow the machine itself can decide what kind of manufacturing process you need to employ. Non-planar electronics, basically you have curvy linear circuits and not just flat PCB boards. Multiple material structures wherein you have different strengths, optimum weight, thermal conductivity, etc. And in-part assemblies where you can do repetitive subtractive and additive on the same part. We've been on several lists, the latest being the MIT under 35 list. For COVID-19, we created a particular device which basically helps in augmenting ventilator capacities, because there's a huge amount of ventilator shortfall in India. And now we're distributing these splitters for free of cost across the country, ensuring that all hospitals are equipped with this. Thank you. Feel free to reach out to me on etherealmachines.com. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will have 4 companies more, and then next is the Fabric automation. Fabric automation. Are you ready?
Yeah. Are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, it's coming. Okay, go ahead, please.
Great. Cool. Konnichiwa, namaste. And this is Dinesh here, and I'm really excited to talk to you about our company and introduce what we do here. So just before I get into that, let me give a quick background on carbon fiber. So this is essentially the space where we are working in. And carbon fiber is like any other raw material, be it plastics or stainless steel, aluminum. But the speciality of this material is it is actually more stronger than steel and only 1/3 the weight of steel actually. And that is really the speciality of it. And the carbon fiber is used across several industries like tennis rackets, in sports, to racing cars and fighter jets, rockets, and several other areas. And this is a huge industry also. And myself and my co-founder have had very long experience in this particular field when we were working with ISRO. So ISRO is the JAXA's equivalent in India, where we used to build rockets. And this rocket is the same rocket that we were part of the development. And this also was used to launch the most recent India's satellite to moon. And both of us were part of development of very critical components. In fact, some of the largest carbon fiber structures ever built on the planet, we were part of this. And firsthand, we also know the kind of problems that these carbon fiber manufacturing industry has been facing. So the first problem that I would like to quote is more than 70% of all these parts right now are made by completely manual process. What you see in the background is an automobile component that is being fabricated. And this is a very big problem. Next, more than 30% of these parts are rejected. Can you imagine this large heat shields on the top of the rockets? We used to manufacture 5 and 3 we used to reject. And that is really the kind of rejections that this industry really face. And the last thing is more than 30% of material is wasted across all the sectors put together. And these are some really big concerns. And that is essentially why we decided to come up with our own automated solution to solve this problem. So these missions that we have named as FiberBot achieves two simple things that reduces most of the problems that I talked about earlier: automation and precision. These two things single-handedly sort out pretty much any of the issues. All this is works on a new technology that we have patented called miniaturized toe placement, and this is already 3 patents are granted and more are in pending. And these are 3 machines that we have already commercialized in the market and catering to various sectors of different market depending on their particular needs. And essentially, what these achieve is 2 times better production rates than what is presently done. Typically, any additive manufacturing is known to have very low fabrication volumes, but here the competition is a manual process, where the same parts are fabricated by manual process, and this machine can actually increase your production rates. And the next thing is reducing the rejections that actually happen. And overall, what I said earlier, 30% material wastage is brought down to 5% material wastage. And in effect, at least a minimum of 20% cost saving is assured. And what you see in the bottom, very small robotic automotive components to very large drones are completely built inside the machine. And these drones, for example, have flown in the air and across several flights. And so these are some of the clients that already trust our product, and the drones and electronics manufacturers are our target segments for this particular financial year. And we have further other segments that we'll be catering to in the next coming years as well. And we have had projects across several drone companies, both the domestic and defense. And very recently, Ministry of Civil Aviation of India announced 13 drone consortiums who are approved to get to the testing for drone-based delivery systems. So these deliveries may be for medical, for food delivery packets and other logistic requirements. Of these 13 consortiums that were approved, 4 are already our clients, and more we are in touch with. And this is not just the only interesting fact. So our revenues have been increasing through the pandemic. The main reason this is happening is because the drones, again, many of you might know, drones have been very increasingly used through the pandemic for delivery purposes, for remote monitoring to ensure people follow social distancing, crowd control, and many such requirements. And even many government organizations, including India and European Union, have in fact completely relaxed the drone usages during this pandemic and have also publicized the drone policies in a fast-paced manner. And this is something that we are actually riding the wave along with our clients in the drone manufacturing segment, and we were able to gain more and more revenues in the present time. And one of the key things that we were very excited to be part of this event is because of Japan. And it is interesting to see Japan is the second largest producer of carbon fiber material in the world, raw material. And they produce just single-handedly 30% of overall carbon fiber material in the world. But it is also another way very sad thing to see that if you see the finished products, Japan produces less than 5%. The main reason for this is because of, again, the same problem where manual processes are being used to fabricate these components. And if you see where the majority of these components are fabricated, it tends to be in areas where labor is very cheap, like Taiwan, China, and that is where most of these carbon fiber parts tend to be fabricated. And now, when we bring in Fab-Edge solution, it becomes a no-brainer. All the advantages that these countries used to get because of cheap labor is completely eliminated because of complete automation. And so we seriously see Japan with partnership with Fab-Edge can really surmount this 5% to at least 15% in the next 15 years or so. And this speed can be really accelerated with more partnerships that we are looking forward to gain in the coming years. And this is some of the awards that we got during our time for our technology. This is from Ministry of Defense in India, where we were considered one of the very key technologies for Indian defense. And this is, we also got to present to Mr. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India. And we were also awarded the Top Startup in Manufacturing Award by CIA last year. And so that is about it. And we look forward to engaging with more Japanese companies and in a way ensure a win-win relationship with us. Thank you. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer over the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, everybody, if you have any question or comment, please send it to Q&A or chat box. Okay, next presenter, next startup is Bharat Rohan Airborne Innovations. Are you ready? Oh,
Yes, I'm ready.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Next is Ebrosier Eco Care. Sorry about that. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, actually. Yeah, so let me share my screen. Give me a minute, please. Okay, I hope you were able to see my screen now.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so thank you. So I'm Mani, and good afternoon, good evening, everybody. And thank you, CII, and all ecosystem partners for providing us with this opportunity. And Evlogia EcoCare is an India-based startup, and our theme is to produce single-use cutlery from agricultural waste. And our first product is organic single-use drinking straws made out of fallen dried coconut palm leaves. The coconut palm leaves that are shed on its own due to aging, we are converting them to single-use drinking straws. And there are two major issues, and then one is very specific to India, maybe it is there in other parts of the world also, that is the burning of agricultural waste. In the coconut tree or the coconut palm tree, almost every part of it is finding a use except the leaves. The dried leaves actually are burnt out in most of the cases as agricultural waste. And India, including some other South Asian countries like Indonesia, Thailand, and Sri Lanka, is one of the major producers of coconut agricultural products, and there is huge amount of coconut plantation that is shedding tons of leaves every day, which are kind of burnt to produce harmful fumes. On the other hand, we all are aware of plastic pollution menace, and one of the biggest contributors to plastic pollution is single-use drinking straws. So by converting these the waste fallen palm leaves into useful leaf straws, we are kind of solving two major problems. In fact, post-pandemic solution, there is estimated higher demand, more and more higher demand for disposables. I think people in public places like hotels, after this pandemic situation is improved, will prefer more and more disposables, and providing an organic disposable is really a good business in the current scenario. And our leafy straws are patented. We already got a patent grant in India. We have applied for patent in Malaysia, and we have also applied for PCT. So these are organic, compostable, made from fallen palm leaves. And as of today, this is one of the cheapest organic straws. Among all organic straw alternatives available, ours is the cheapest. And they have a inbuilt epicuticular wax. So this wax is providing a very nice properties for the straw. It extends the shelf life. It makes the straws to look very good and very shiny layer. And the straws can stay intact in liquid for hours. We have already received US FDA, Health Canada, and European Union direct food contact approval. They have 1 year shelf life, and they have natural beauty. As you can see in the picture, no two straws will look similar because the leaves are naturally different. And in contrast to many other organic natural straws, we can roll these straws to different sizes. We can make different lengths, different diameters. And one of the important properties, we can make these straws to have a pierceable edge so that it can act as a Tetra Pak straw. I mean, to pierce Tetra Pak, as of today, leaving plastic, there is no alternative available. Even paper straws cannot function as Tetra Pak straws, and no other organic straw also can act as a Tetra Pak straw. So our straw can have that feature actually. And we produce these leaf straws in a cooperative production model. So we involve these agricultural laborers who are already employed in coconut palms, and they usually have a season job. They don't have a permanent income. So they kind of work as our raw material supplier. They collect these fallen dried leaves and send to us for our production units, and they get an augmented income. And we have tied up with the women self-help groups. We are training them and we provide them the machinery and training. And we kind of involve them to produce these organic leafy straws, and we buy back all the straws they produce actually. And so we have already, we have one unit which is completely run by women in Bangalore, and we have trained 2 more women self-help groups. We would have started the production by now, but for COVID, we had to postpone it. And once the situation is normal, 2 more units will be started immediately. And as I told, we have intellectual property, and this is a zero cost raw material, and it is very highly scalable actually. And against competition, so against paper straws, this is price is slightly costlier than paper straw as of now, but we hope with continuous automation we will be able to make it on par with paper straw, if not cheaper. And paper straws cannot stay intact in liquid for a long time, and they will disintegrate, they will change the color of the liquid. And as of today, for a plastic straw alternative, it is only paper straw is perceived to be an alternative. There are other alternatives like hay straws and bamboo straws, but they have their own problems. And bamboo straws and hay straws, they are already coming in a tubular form, so they come in a fixed size. Bamboo straws are very costly and very big in size. Hay straws come in standard size and they are very brittle, so they often damage easily. And all these other straws, other alternatives, none of them have pierceable edge actually. We have a very good competitive advantage here. And the business model is we produce the leaf straws through this cooperative production model with our outsourced production partners, and we sell directly to food and beverage outlets. And we have distributors across the world. We have already distributors identified, and they have started sales in US, UK, and Australia. 95% of our market is in these 3 countries, and we are very soon starting to Canada, and we are trying to get the approval in Germany actually. So Germany needs a special food contact approval. We are working on it. Once that is ready, we'll start exporting to Germany also. And the worldwide, the global single-use drinking straw market is estimated to be $2 billion US. That works out to be 15,000 crore Indian rupees actually. And Tetra Pak straws is something that we have not started because our volume is very less now. To supply to Tetra Pak beverage manufacturers, our volume capacity must be increased. So we hope we will soon start it actually. And this is the price comparisons. If you see, it's slightly costlier than paper. So each straw is kind of, our straw is between 25 to 30 US cents. That's the price at which we are selling right now. And it is cheaper than hay, bamboo, and other organic straws, including edible straws. And our current capacity is about 5,000 straws a day. We started just 1 year back, the production. It's just 1 year old production unit. And our last year is 8 lakh rupees. That works out to be 11,000 US dollars actually. And we hope to bring down the price with continuous automation and increased production. So these are the pictures of our all women production unit that is running in Bangalore, and some of the training we have given to the women. And I've already signed with 2 MOU with 2 women self-help groups to involve them in production. And this is our founding team, myself and Mrs. Radha. And we also have 3 young mechanical engineers who are in-house team. They are working on some tools development and take care of most of the production related job. And this is the roadmap. And our next important thing is to develop machines, because we have created a very good market. We have already acquired customers, and our existing order book is 10 times more than our current production capacity without doing any marketing. Just organically grown existing customers, just 5 customers, they themselves are 5 resellers, they themselves want 10 times more than what we are producing now. So we are looking to quickly scale up the production 2 ways. One is through automation and by increasing more production units. And we are also working on similar products which are made out of agricultural waste. They can act as a single-use cutlery. What you see in picture is a product that we are trying to develop, which is again using some fibers of the waste leaves. We are crushing them and try to mold them into form a cup or a container. So these are allied products that we are still working on. These are some of the awards we got. We got the top manufacturing startup award from CII. We got a very good support from Karnataka state government with the Elevate 2019 POC grant. And we got a Climate Launchpad Global Startup Award in Scotland. And we also recently got the Big Leap 2020 grant. So we are the winners of the Big Leap 2020 competition, which held just last month. And
Thank you.
that's about us. And what we are looking for is mainly from Japanese collaboration is one, of course, capital. But apart from capital, we also look any kind of support to automate, to kind of mechanize our production. Any support, anything is most welcome. And of course, Japanese market is something that we can definitely look at for our product to be sold. And
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, next is Bharat Rohan Airborne Innovations. Okay, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amandeep Pawar from Bharat Rohan. You all might be aware that farmers India face a crop loss worth of 720 billion Japanese yen per year due to pest and disease outbreaks. They also face the problem of high agri-input cost and low value realization for the sustainably grown agriculture produce. On the other side, the agribusinesses who procure agri-commodities face high pesticide residue, poor quality of products, and have no access to the farm level traceability. And this is where Bharat Rohan comes in. We partner with farmers by empowering them with efficient and profitable crop production using our hyperspectral imaging-based decision support system. Hyperspectral imaging is a tool which helps us detect minuscule color changes occurring into a plant when it is infested by a particular pest or a disease. We deploy advanced remote sensing tools like drones equipped with hyperspectral cameras to monitor the agriculture crops of the subscriber farmer on a 7 to 15-day interval, thereby replacing the traditional guesswork of the practices with scientific advisories. We then enable industrial buyers to sustainably procure safest farm products from our subscriber farmer network, which currently stands to around 10,000 farmers across Uttar Pradesh, Telangana, and Rajasthan states of India. Our crop monitoring, alerts, and advisory have helped farmers to save around 5,200 Japanese yen per acre. And this was made possible by our precision agriculture advisories that enabled farmers to use agri-input only where they were actually required. In the crops like Japanese mint, that is Mentha arvensis, which is used majorly by a lot of pharmaceuticals and OTCs for the products that involve mentha or menthol. We have enabled farmers to reduce their crop losses through early diagnosis of pest attacks and disease outbreaks that resulted in an increase in yield of 50 kg per acre to 70 kg per acre. And this translated into an additional profit of around 29,000 Japanese yen. Our farmers love us, and this is because of the value that we provide using advanced technology services to them. Simultaneously, we track every farm activity that is going on the field using a digital tool, which helps us with the information about all the actions that are being taken to cultivate a particular crop. Hence, we can provide traceability on agriculture produce from seed to factory or a consumer. And this is critical for the agribusinesses to procure pesticide-free farm products meeting their preferred quality standards. Our business model involves one-time research and development for a new crop and one-time farmer onboarding in a new geography. After this, we carry out regular data acquisition analytics, followed by the sale of agri-produce at the time of harvest. As a technology service provider to the farmers, we generate revenues by majorly supplying the traceability data along with the commodities to the agribusinesses. We're a team of hyperspectral imaging experts, aeronautical engineers, and agriculture scientists on a mission to resolve the crop issues for the farmers while helping them to connect with the buyers who are willing to procure sustainably grown farm products with complete traceability. And in these times of COVID-19 pandemic, it has inspired us to scale rapidly to multiple crops and commodities, which are already into our R&D pipeline. And we are now looking to partner with major industrial buyers for the crops we work with, additionally exploring avenues in newer markets to grow our highly scalable business, including that in Japan. And here's how we can collaborate. If you are an agribusiness or if you are who is looking to procure farm products from India, we can provide you with the commodities of your interest like Japanese mint oil, medicinal and aromatic crops, and their derivatives, spices, as well as various fruits and vegetables. If you're a farmer network or know some large corporate or farmer collectives, we can offer you our high-perspective imaging solutions for the precision agriculture. And we are now also open to gaining new perspectives to strengthen our traceability platform through mentors and advisors in your network. Feel free to reach out to me on aman@bharatrohan.in to exchange ideas and explore synergies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. Now we'll have the last company, Trashcon. Are you ready? Yes, so please go ahead.
Hi. Yes, thank you. Hi, is the slide visible? Hello? I'm not able to get it.
No.
Just a second. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming. Okay.
Great.
Is it coming full screen?
Is it coming full screen? Yeah. All right. Please let me know if you can hear me. Good morning, everyone. This is Niveda. I'm the CEO and founder of TrashCon. And let me begin by directly diving into the problem that we are trying to solve. So what you see on the screen is the kind of streets that is there in most of the developing countries across the world, and that I'm talking about right now. And waste being lying on the streets and getting dumped and getting burnt causes all kinds of pollution, we know that, but it also spreads 22 different types of diseases. And most importantly, right now, it is a breeding ground for the most lethal disease that we have right now, which is COVID. And I'm not saying that, it is something that is already there in the newspapers every day that we read. Multiple waste pickers across the world have fallen prey and have turned positive to the disease because of them. They're getting directly in contact with the waste. Almost 4 million waste pickers are currently being exposed to waste that we generate out of our houses, which may have masks, gloves, all kinds of medical waste also in that. And the reason when people started understanding why is this, that although we dispose our waste properly, why is it that waste pickers are getting in touch with the waste and falling prey to the disease, is because of lack of segregation. Yes, across India, only 5% of the 1.3 billion population actually segregate their waste. And this is despite laws, regulations, and thousands of crores being spent on creating awareness. And it's not just in India, across the world, except say Japan and all the developing countries have this sort of a problem. And despite all the times, especially right now, we are sitting on a ticking time bomb, like the newspapers have rightly mentioned. So what I was telling was this. You see, this is the ways that, these are the photos that we have taken. You can see masks, you can see gloves, you can see that plastic cover there. It has sanitary napkins, diapers, blood, dead rats, plastics, food waste, everything in it. Now, how could anybody make any value out of it? Yes, there is one option. We dump it in these sanitary landfills. You can see people there and they are being exposed to it. Otherwise, they burn it. They burn it in these waste to energy plants. Japan also has it. Waste to energy plants to convert it into electricity. But unfortunately, waste in India and most of the developing countries have 80% moisture content. So it's basically taking water to generate electricity. The mass balance doesn't work out. So 95% of the waste to energy plants in India have shut down and also release all kinds of toxic gases. Now, the other conventional practice, I told you only 5% segregate, right? That 5% who segregate their waste, it is further segregated using manual labor, like you can see in the picture, and they directly touch the waste with their own hands. So these are the only solutions that are available in not just in India, but all the countries across the world. So that is when we started thinking that why don't we create a system that can take all of that trash which is coming out of your houses, from your streets, from your shops, from your hotels, and sort it into wet waste that is biodegradable, which has kitchen canteen waste, and non-degradable, which is your mask, your one-time use plastics, your multi-layered, your thermocol, your styrofoam, not just plastics, every kind of dry waste. Because the moment I sort it, I can recycle it. So that was the thought process, and it was extremely difficult. We spent nearly 2 years sitting in the dump sites to figure out a way, because waste is very dynamic. Look at your own dustbin, right? It changes every day. And after 2 years of sitting in the dump sites and figuring out a solution, we came up with the world's first completely automated municipal waste segregation system. Now, this entire segregation system is without any manual intervention. That is, it's hands free, and it can sort the waste up to 99% efficiency, because the moment I sort it, any recycler would want to recycle it. And it has extremely low power consumption, and can fit inside your in a huge bedroom also. It is patent published. We have patent grants on this, and going forward, what I'm trying to tell you is that what you see on the left, the mixed waste, is the reality in India and most of the countries. After going into our unit, it gets sorted as biodegradable and non-biodegradable. These are real images. And once we sort it, this non-degradable section, if you see, it has all these one-time use plastics, multi-layered plastics, masks and gloves. People have no clue what to do with this right now. We further develop technologies that can recycle it into something called recycled sheets. Now, these look like plywood and particle board, can be used for your doors, tables, chairs, windows, anything where ply or particle board is used. And we have built the recycling systems for these. Of course, there are recycling systems out there which only recycle one type of plastics, but we can take not only plastics, but even masks, even gloves, everything, and thermally sterilize it and subject it to recycling. So out of this, we have made multiple products, tables, chairs, designer racks. We have sold multiple furnitures to Target retail. We are also working with Pepsi for their display racks. We have made toilets and wash basins, which is a huge need in India during these times, at extremely affordable rates. Using this particular recycled waste. And we have given tables and chairs to almost 3,000 kids across India who are sitting on these benches and desks. And of course, to create that impact, we have some of the largest corporates as our clients, like Unilever, Baker Hughes, and we are working with multiple municipalities at every tier, especially second tier and third tier across India. This was the best comment that I've heard during COVID. One of our customers said that the waste pickers in their locality are not afraid to touch waste, because they are not actually getting in contact with waste due to our entire system, and they are able to create a zero waste community even during these times. And I think that is what made our day and made our 2 years of hard work come to fruition. And we have actually impacted thousands of lives during COVID, especially during COVID, to have a fearless working, especially with the waste pickers. And we have raised $2.5 million in funding. We have revenues of $0.7 million just after 5 to 6 months of launching our product. Even during COVID, we had orders coming in of $300,000. And we have grants of $0.5 million. And we are currently talking to Maldives, Bangladesh, Thailand, and Bahamas governments for sharing this technology across. I myself speak at World Bank forums and several international sustainability forums, advising them on plastic waste and general waste management. We have got a large number of awards. We have been awarded by the Prime Minister and Trade Minister of Norway, Prime Minister of India. We have been, I have personally directly communicated with the United Nations Deputy Secretary General, and we have got a lot of accolades and 150 plus media publications. But why am I here? A problem of this magnitude cannot be solved alone. We are looking to collaborate on a franchisee model, because Japan is known for recycling. I'm a big fan of Japan's waste management, but even then it is only 20% that is being recycled. The remaining goes into the waste to energy plant. However, if we adopt a recycling model, it can generate a lot of dignified employment and also create a circular economy. And that is something that we would like to collaborate with the local waste management companies, which are hundreds in number, on a franchisee model, number one. Number two, we also look to collaborate in terms of manufacturing and innovation, because we come up with we have our array of innovations, and someone in Japan will have their array of innovations. Together, we can have a 360-degree solution. And of course, we are looking to impact billion lives, so we are definitely looking at scaling up. And this is some of our advisory, and we are looking to have a day in the history where 20 years down the lane, when I'll be telling a story to my daughter saying, what is waste? She asks, Mom, what is trash? And that is our vision, and we are looking for like-minded people to collaborate with us. Thank you so much. I look forward to talking to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, that's from my end. Thank you so much.
Okay, please finish screen sharing. Oh. Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. All the agenda is finished. Okay, the series of events will continue, and on July 29th, the finale will be held. The finale is also opening of the KGAP Plus regular program. We will invite a few Indian startups to it. Yeah, everybody please join us again. A link to registration will be shown in the thank you email you will receive shortly. Yeah, again, thank you very much for joining us today. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.